Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. I know this is primarily a woodworking and blacksmithing channel, but I'm kind of passionate about cars too, maintenance, and I want to do a video. It's probably not going to be short, but a very thorough video on an aspect of vehicle maintenance that I think is of utmost importance. I'm not talking about changing the oil in your car or changing your brakes or anything like that. I'm talking about the whole chassis, the sheet metal, the frame, the undercarriage of your vehicle. How do you maintain that? So there's a lot of options out there, and they're generally all classified as undercoating, rust proofing treatments. So some of the products that you've probably heard of, I think probably the most popular one is Ziebart, Ziebart, and they've been around for a long time, but I'll give you my honest opinion on them from the research that I've done. Stay the heck away from it unless your vehicle is literally straight out of the factory. And I'm not talking about straight out of the showroom, I'm talking about straight out of the factory, as in it has not been exposed one iota to any elements, i.e., not getting shipped to a dealership on a flatbed truck where it might get rained on. Because Z-Bart basically blasts the undercoating of your vehicle with tar, and that tar dries, and basically if there's moisture on your vehicle, which as soon as it leaves the factory there pretty much is, then that tar is going to trap that moisture up against the chassis, and you crawl underneath your vehicle, it's going to look black and shiny because that tar coating it looks fine. But you flake that tar away, and rust will be underneath there cooking away at your chassis. So that is an absolute nightmare to deal with because your vehicle is rusting away and you can't tell. And if you're a mechanic, if you're working on your own vehicle like I do, then you get your vehicle blasted with Z-Bart tar. Well, what happens when you need to do some service on it? You need to break a nut free. Well, you just broke open that tar shell and exposed that section to moisture. And so now what are you going to do? You've already opened up you've broken the seal, so to speak. Any electrical connections that you need to do, whether you're taking your vehicle to a shop or you're doing it yourself, one way or another, someone's going to be pissed off that they have to break electrical connections, like this little guy, when it's completely covered in tar. No way. Your oxygen sensors on your vehicle, those need to be periodically replaced. That's on your exhaust. That's going to be completely covered in tar, and you're going to have to break that free. Don't do it. Stay the heck away from Z-Bart. What I recommend instead, and this is from the research that I've done, is called Crown with a K. And I'm going to give you guys a walk down on my vehicle and show you exactly what it looks like from 6 years of getting treated by Crown, and 6 years and what's it been, 92,000 miles at this point, 93,000 roughly. Another option out there, a couple other options, there's fluid film, which is a really good one. That's a lanolin wax. That's a friend of mine uses that. He applies it himself. There's another one called NHOU, New Hampshire Oil Undercoating. That's a wax-based undercoating product as well. I got my truck sprayed, by them once. But Crown is my preferred. And let's go take a look at my vehicle to see what Crown has done for this thing. Again, you're looking at a 2014 Ford F-150 3.5 liter EcoBoost with almost 196,000 miles on it. So I bought this truck in 2020, right before COVID hit, in February of 2020. And yeah, it had a little bit of rust on it, but it was not concerning. It was, like I said, February, there was snow on the ground, and I told the dealer after I took it for a test drive that I wanted to crawl underneath it, so they pulled it into a garage. Really appreciated that. And they let me crawl underneath this thing with a flashlight, and I inspected it quite thoroughly for rust. Yes, I saw a little bit because it's a Midwest vehicle, but I didn't see anything concerning, which kind of led me to suspect that the previous owner, who would have been the original owner, may have gotten it sprayed once or twice. But here we are. Look at the frame. Look at the undercarriage of this thing. I got the front wheel off here because I had to replace the front wheel bearings on both sides. The passenger side's already done, and this side I'm ready to put the wheel on and call it a day. But I wanted to get you guys in on here to see this before I put the wheel on. You're looking at the frame. It is not perfect, but holy crap is it close. You got this frame hardware here. I guarantee you, if I had not been getting this truck regularly undercoated, these would be absolutely delaminating from rust. And the only way that you'd be able to get them free would be to just break them off and replace all the hardware. Generally on vehicles where there's welds on the frame, that's a spot for rust because it's two dissimilar metals. And so there's always going to be a tiny bit around the frame, but look at that. Maybe the glare is not helping, but there's essentially nothing there. Here's a frame support for the shock tower. Pretty much pristine. You can even see inside it where you're looking at the frame behind that support. Perfect. Shock tower, absolutely perfect. Look at that. It's like brand new. It's still, the paint is still intact. The 3 bolts on top of the shock tower. Yeah, a little bit of surface rust, but you look at the threads are still perfectly fine. If I had to replace my shocks tomorrow, no issue whatsoever. Upper control arm bushings, a little bit of surface rust. Like I said, there was a little bit of rust on this thing when I got it, and I've gotten it sprayed every year except one since then. Upper control arm, a little bit of surface rust again. But look at this. Here's bare paint. I'm sorry, bare metal, because the paint has flaked away or whatever. There's no rust on that. Everywhere you see, yeah, there's dirt, but that dirt's loaded with this undercoating product. And so, because of that, it's protected from rust. Here's the lower control arm. Again, whoops, I'm out of focus here. No destructive rust there. A little bit of surface rust, nothing to be worried about. I blasted that area because there was a bunch of dirt in there, so I cleaned it out and hit it anyways. But nothing to be concerned about. On features like this, like my lower control arm, there's holes that are, part of the manufacturing. You don't want to have a completely sealed system that you're going to be welding up, because then you're making a pressure vessel. So these holes become a convenient spot or a feature for rust proofing nerds like myself, because I go inside there and I can spray inside of it. More area of the frame, absolutely immaculate. Look at that. So, and here's the hardware that I had to break free. 1, 2, and then there's 2 on the other side. Those are the hub bolts. Those are torqued to 150 foot-pounds of torque. That's the factory spec. In addition to those, there's the 2 large bolts that are securing the brake caliper mounting bracket. Those are also 150 pound-feet of torque. If these were loaded with rust, which there is not a single speck of rust on these, it would have been an absolute disaster to break those free. As soon as I broke them free, because of the torque, obviously, I was able to just undo them by hand. It was incredible. So, a little bit of my history. 20 years ago, it breaks my heart to say that, but 20 years ago I had a 92 Ford F-250. I bought it in 05, so at that point in time it was 13 years old, which is the same age that this thing is now. It just blows my mind. That truck already had rot through the sheet metal. If I recall correctly, every single panel of sheet metal on that truck had rust all the way through, or at the very least bubbling paint. So here's my front fender. There is no bubbling paint. There's no rust. Bumper. Nothing. It's pristine. It's dirty, but it's pristine. Here. There's you can kind of see the frame a little bit underneath. I don't know how well this is going to work for you guys because lighting is not that great. But yeah, you can see all along the frame going down the length of the truck. Nothing. let's go look at the sheet metal. So the way Crown works is they take your vehicle, they put it up on a lift like any car garage has. They jack it up, they power wash the undercarriage of it in order to blast off dirt and grime, which, you know, people like me, I live on a gravel driveway. There's always going to be dirt and grime on my chassis. They blast all that off, and then they proceed to just fog the heck out of it, spray it with this undercoating product. And it basically creates a film all throughout the underbody of your vehicle. There's, like I kind of showed you with the control arms, there's holes in those features, those structural components, and they will go inside there with a nozzle and blast the inside of your frame, control arms, everything, all these components. They'll just hook it up with this rust-proofing product, and then once they're done with the undercarriage of it, they bring it back down onto the ground, and then they go after the sheet metal. And what they do there is, you look at here's the hood, you've got, again, holes that are part of the manufacturing process. They'll go inside there and inside there with a wand and just fog the inside of the hood or whatever sheet metal body to apply the rust proofing product. That 92 F250 I had, all along here was bubbling paint. You don't see that here. This is the same age. There's no bubbling paint. I gotta open this back up. They fog the inside of your engine compartment. Then the real fun one, they do the same thing with the fenders, because they're able to go inside, like through here, spray inside there to fog the entire interior of the fender. And that product then drips down just from gravity and wicks into all the nooks and crannies, so that at the end of the day, here's my fender on the passenger side. No bubbling paint, no nothing. Here's the bottom of the passenger front door. Excuse me, again, it's dirty, but it ain't rusty. And then the doors, and I think they're called A-pillars. I'm not a body person. With the doors, they punch holes in the door. Where is it? Here it is. So they drilled that hole and go in there with a wand that has a 360-degree spray nozzle, and they just blast the inside. They fog the whole inside of the door. Now, the way the sheet metal works on doors is it's like a clamshell. There's 2 layers to it, and it's hollow void in between. When you have your windows down, driving in the summertime, dirt's going to get in between the weather stripping around the window, and it's going to accumulate down here at the bottom of the door. Now, from the factory, there's little tiny weep holes where water is able to get out as water gets in, because the weather stripping around the window is not perfect. And if that's loaded with dirt, the water has nowhere to go. It soaks the dirt. That dirt maintains that moisture and rots out your sheet metal. Well, when you displace all the water that might be in there with rust proofing material, or product I should say, that dirt's then soaked with oil, and the result is you basically get like a mud that's soaked with oil instead of water, and that prevents corrosion. So you're looking at the bottom of my door. Again, a Midwest vehicle. I live in South Central Wisconsin, and this vehicle, I purchased it from Illinois, where it spent the first 6 years of its life. There's no corrosion on that. A-pillars, or the body chassis in general. See that? That's another plug where Crown drilled the hole, fogged the inside of this, because this is a hollow form. There's another one right there. Again, where they got in there and they fogged the inside of the chassis, because I guarantee you that would be rotted out. I know from experience from my 92 F250, that was rotting away. Don't really need to show you the back passenger door because it's the same concept. Here's one of the plugs from when they drilled it. And there's another one right here. It's kind of hard to see because the lighting's not that great, but they get inside there, same thing with the doors, and they fog them. Tailgate, or sorry, bed. This is a fairly short bed. It's 5.5 feet, but they will take the tail lights out, which is just these two little screws, pop the tail light out, unplug it, and then they come in here with they have an 8-foot long wand in case you have an 8-foot bed, and they will blast all the way down the bed with that 360-degree spray nozzle. Looks like I got a low tire. And they will fog the inside such that there is no rust anywhere on my rear fender. Tailgate, same thing. They don't have to drill holes in the tailgate. Same with the bed, because you got holes right here. Spray it, they'll blast the hinges and all that stuff. You look at the bottom of my tailgate from the inside of the bed, scratched up because I use this thing. It's a truck, I use it as a truck, but there ain't no rust. Outside of the tailgate, nothing. No rust at all. This is what happens when you have a vehicle that's properly cared for. Let's look at the back end here. So, rear suspension, nothing. Leaf springs look great. I don't know how well the footage is coming out here because it looks kind of grainy on my end. I think my battery's getting low. But you can see it is all beautiful, clean sheet metal and steel from the frame. Leaf springs, not rusty. It is a beautiful thing having a vehicle that's lasting. And that's really the key. Your vehicle is an investment. People will tell you that as soon as you drive a vehicle off the lot, it depreciates. Well, yeah, because unless you're driving a Ferrari and you're not driving it at all, you're basically keeping it in your garage. It's not really an investment that's going to give you a return in a monetary sense. You resell it, you're going to be losing money, but the way it pays you back is through getting you to work, getting you to grocery store, etc. That's the return on investment that you get. And when you properly maintain it, you get it regularly undercoated with rust proofing if you need it, if you live in the Rust Belt area, and you regularly change your fluids. Like I change my engine oil with Castrol Edge every 5,000 miles. It'll last, and it'll continue paying you. That investment will pay off. This truck has been financially paid off for a couple of years now, but it's still paying me back now essentially because it's a very reliable and frankly beautiful, and it's not dirty vehicle. Extremely comfortable, quiet, beautiful ride. It's wonderful, and it's a good investment for me. The towing capacity is great for the blacksmith club, and I can haul lumber in this thing, like for rebuilding the wall in my blacksmith shop. Here it is from the north side. It's been a good investment, and I'm going to get a lot more life out of it because I'm taking care of it like this. And then if I ever had to sell this thing, which I really don't want to, the resale value would be much, much higher because it's not rusty. Yes, it's got a lot of miles on it, but it's a properly cared for vehicle, and so my resaleability is going to be far higher than if it's a rust bucket, where the dealership would basically just give you $500 scrap value, which is what happened with my F-250. So, geez, I did not plan on making a 20-minute long video, but I hope you guys got a lot of information out of it. Again, this is something I'm incredibly passionate about, taking care of your vehicles, because they will take care of you. Yeah, that 92 F-250, I was able to finally put my foot through the floor because it completely rotted through on the inside, and that's when I had to get rid of it. Broke my heart, and I swore I was never going to lose another vehicle to rust, and so that's why I started getting really passionate about rust proofing. So I hope this video gets out there. Please, like, comment, etc., because the more you do that, the more the YouTube algorithm will favor it and broadcast it, so other people will learn the importance of rust proofing. So yeah, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and you guys have a great day. Today's actually my birthday. So, cheers.